All right, what's going on? All right, what's going on? We're gonna get ready to get started in just a bit, and we're gonna get into talking about this draft and uh, and the review of this draft as we have all of the picks on the screen. And so we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to recap the 2022 NFL draft class. Also, the my final thoughts on the AJ Brown trade, and of course, we for the first time since the playoff game, Ryan Tannehill speaks to the media. He is in Nashville. He is at St. Thomas Sports Park for OTAs. Ryan Tannehill finally speaks out. So we're going to get ready to start this show in just a bit. And we're going to have everything going in the next 60 seconds. Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome in to TNT tonight. I'm your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and I am actually back now in the Truth Studios here in Memphis. I am back home. And I know I spent the last few days in Florida with you, covering the NFL draft, but I am back home now, and we're going to have a great show for you on this evening. So first off, make sure you share this show out on Facebook, on the TNT, for the TNT Truth, the Titan Truth main page, also on the TNT Enforcers page, on Instagram at Titans_in_truth, and also on Instagram at on Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer, on Instagram as well at Titans_in_truth. That is actually what I am doing right now. I am sharing this show out as well to many others, so that way they come on in and they can join and be a part of this show as well. So that is exactly what I am doing, and hopefully everyone else helps me out as well. So first off, before we do get anything going, let y'all know to make sure that you do indeed once again share this show out, whether it be on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or from YouTube. Hit that like button, liking the show. Also hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. You're helping me out and helping this channel out, and you're spreading the word to everybody else as well. So thank everybody for tuning in to the show. And also, if you're wanting some TNT swag, definitely hit me up. You can hit me up on any of the pages below. Also, you can hit up Ms. Latoya Akinyemi if you want any Titans of Truth shirts, whether it be the baby blue or the light blue or the baby blue or the navy blue shirt, rather. You could definitely get one of those shirts if you're interested in one of those shirts. So definitely hit me up. Hit Ms. Latoya Akinyemi at queenbutterflytees@gmail.com or on Instagram at queenbutterflytees. And if you want any of the hats, like the hat that you will be seeing me wearing, or the red hat here, you can hit up my guy at Out the Crib Customs. That's at out_the_crib_customs on Instagram. And so you can hit him up there, or you could just email me as well at canewell817@gmail.com. So just had to make sure I take care of a little business and handle some bills. And I see we got a lot of people on here. And just remember, of course, today is a very special day. Today is a very special day on May the 4th. It is, of course, Star Wars Day. It's a very special day. May the 4th be with you. That's what I love. I am a Star Wars fanatic. And we are going to talk about how the 4th will be strong with the Titans this season. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I've watched all the movies already. So, you know, I am basically I've already done my thing for Star Wars. I watched the entire 11 movies that are there, plus The Mandalorian. Now I gotta watch Boba Fett and the new Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, I'm a Star Wars fan to the heart, but I had to do that. All right, I'm sorry. I had to do that, y'all. I had to do that. May the 4th be with all of you on this May the 4th day. And just had to have a little bit of fun with that. But, yeah, I had to do that. I had to do it. So, that's... that was kind of fun right there. But acknowledging some people here. We got Al Pierce in here. Kicks a massive tail as usual. Reggie B, acknowledge that like button. I got it. Devin K, let's get it. Yes, sir. Telly Yo Kicks, what's up, man? How's Vegas? I hate I couldn't be there. I am good. We're definitely gonna get into Malik. There's a lot to cover there. Of course, Lee talking 615 podcast. Yes. Tannehill finally spoke to the media. We are definitely going to get into that. We got Ant and also my guy CJ all in. So let's get right into a lot of what was going on. First off, we had the whole AJ Brown trade from the draft, and we are reviewing the draft. And that was the big bombshell. That was the big first bombshell that dropped. Was out of nowhere, the Titans trade A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, some of you probably heard my upset reaction on the night of the draft when this happened. And my initial first thought was, are you kidding me? I was in a literal state of absolute shock. I think I was in shock for about 48 hours. I can honestly say. I think I was honestly in a real state of shock for 48 hours. I didn't know what to think. I was literally at a loss for words when A.J. Brown got traded. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. There is no way the Tennessee Titans were going to trade A.J. Brown. I even kept saying it. I said that they're going to get A.J. re-signed. There's no way he's going to get traded. There's no way this is going to happen. And it did. A.J. got traded to the Eagles. We got the Eagles' 18th pick in that draft. We also had gotten a third-round pick, number 101, for that. So we ended up getting an extra first-round pick and a third-round pick in that draft. Now, and then, of course, right after the trade happens, and we end up picking Treylon Burks at 18 at that time. So we ended up picking Treylon Burks at 18. A.J. Brown, right then that night, agrees to a 4-year, $100 million contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I believe it was $57 million guaranteed on the contract. And it happened immediately. There was no waiting around. AJ quickly agreed to the deal. And at first, I was really ticked off. I'm thinking, J-Rob, what the heck are you doing? Why are you trading one of our best players? Get the man signed. It's not that hard. But then I had to really sit back and think about things. Like 615 Podcast says, I almost cried myself to sleep. Mentally, I did have to cry myself to sleep. Mentally, on the inside, I cried that night. I cried inside after that first night of the draft. I cried. Telly Yo Kick said I was sick at the draft and many other Titans fans there. Steven said I was mad night one. I think we all were. We were all mad that very night. I did not expect that to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was wrong. But it did happen. And now, of course, some things were coming out as time went on. For example, and I'm trying to see if I can pull up the tweet. I should have already had this up. But my guy TD Teron Davenport had the tweet where he talked to AJ. So he had talked to AJ Brown, I believe, right after the trade happened. And I am trying to pull that tweet up. Let's see. I know I got it, but it was basically in a nutshell where he said that that AJ was basically saying it was not his fault about what happened, and that, you know, he was saying it was bittersweet on leaving the Titans. And this was, I believe, at the press conference as he was introduced to the Philadelphia Eagles. He said that it was bittersweet. I've built relationships over the last 3 years, and to see it go, it's tough. I'm just sorry it couldn't work out. It's a business. Things happen. No bad blow with the Titans. I appreciate what they did for me. They drafted me. But before that, it was basically that he was saying that it was not his fault, that that the Titans came to him with an offer of about $16 million per year with incentives to go up to $20 a year. He turned that down, and then he ended up turning off all communications from the Titans. So he basically cut the Titans out and was basically like, I'm done. He was like, I'm done. I'm out. I've had it. Even though the Titans then came back with another offer, but after that, the damage had already been done. AJ basically said no, or his agent said no. And again, I say this. A lot of times you got to remember when it comes to contract situations, it's not really the player that's really saying all of this or doing talking as far as contract. A lot of the times it is the agent. A lot of times the agent, he's the one that's doing all this talking. And remember, AJ's agent is the same as Deebo Samuel's agent. Now, some seeds might have already been planted from, he wasn't there being, throwing the ball around with Tannehill in Florida, but he was throwing the ball around, catching balls from Jalen Hurts about a week or two before the draft. Also, the whole thing got leaked with Deebo's mom talking while Deebo was on FaceTime, was on the phone with AJ, and, was talking about basically what was offered and all of this and that. So the seeds were already being planted, and things were starting to go kind of bad. And so it looked like AJ's representation came back to the Titans, basically saying that they wanted more than the $25 million a year he got from the Eagles. He wanted to get closer to Tyreek Hill money. And the Titans basically said no. That they were going to, they presented their final offer probably somewhere around, probably around 22. He said he would come back for 22, but I don't know if that was the case. But the Titans tried to come up with another deal. It didn't work out. AJ got traded. And exactly. Agents want that money. And that's basically what I think was happening too. AJ wanted a payday, but the agent wanted a payday too. You got to remember that. Because you also have to remember, the more money a player gets, the more money an agent gets. If an agent gets a player $100 million contract, and let's say $57 million guaranteed, and let's just go off of guaranteed money. So AJ gets $57 million in his hands. He's guaranteed that money. That means his agent is guaranteed most likely about 10% of that. About 10%, which is $5.7 million. That's $5.7 million the agent gets paid for that contract. And think about, an agent probably has more than maybe 3 or 4 clients. Some agents have like 20, 30 clients. And if they're making $2-3 million a client off of new contracts, then if you have five clients, you're making at least $2 million off of each contract. You're making at least $10 million off of those clients alone. So agents are trying to get their money, and that's mainly what it is. Agents try to get the biggest amount of money for their client so they get paid. That's what it's all about. And AJ probably wanted to get paid, but again, I like what Lee says here. If you say it wasn't my fault, it's usually your fault. And Oilerstruck saying the same thing. It was his fault along with the agent. Ms. Mims, I'm glad to see you here. And let's see. Devin K says, I don't think they wanted the receiver we got. You can see the disappointment in the draft room with Vrabel. They were hoping that 18th pick was one of the top 4 receivers. And I mean, don't get me wrong. We're going to get into Treylon Burks in just a minute about that. And, you know, you got a guy that's very similar to AJ. So, you know, we might have gotten AJ Brown, but much cheaper. You know, CJ said he should have stayed. We probably could have won a Super Bowl with the added draft picks. He's not winning a Super Bowl with hurt. And that's the thing. I mean, and Lee Wright, 4 to 10%. There it is. Okay. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I was upset the night of the draft. I think I've calmed down a bit from angry. I'm more disappointed that it happened. But it is what it is. It's a business. It happens. That's why you can't get too attached to players. I mean, I have an AJ and a Julio jersey. I probably can't wear much anymore. Now, Julio, I might be able to see if I can go somewhere and get Woods put on the back of that jersey instead. But, I mean, it is what it is. 11 is open now. So we got to move on with that. So, you know, and we'll get into Tannehill in just a bit, but let's go over these draft picks that we did have from draft night. And, you know, now that we're talking about the draft, again, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell so that you know when I go live. And also smash that like button as well. Definitely want to get all the likes up right here and everything. So definitely help me out. But let's go into round 1. And I cannot believe I misspelled the name. It's Treylon Burks. I made that mistake there. Let's see if I can fix that problem right quick. But yes, Treylon Burks was the first pick in the draft. And I just think that this is a good pick for the Tennessee Titans. And, you know, Burks, I think, again, brings some of the same qualities that Tannehill brings. I mean, that A.J. Brown brings to the table. And y'all give me just a second. But Treylon Burks, I did like the pick. Yeah, I was sad. I was sad that AJ, you know, is gone. But Treylon Burks is Treylon Burks is exactly the same as Ryan is. Give me a second, y'all. There we go. That's more like it. All right, Treylon Burks, 6'2", 225, wide receiver out of Arkansas. I thought very similar to A.J. Brown as far as his skill set. And this is what I had to say about Treylon Burks during my pre-draft look when it comes to him. He has 6'6" catches, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. Big body receiver, very similar to A.J. Brown, a combat catcher, great hands, is willing to block. He has superstar potential, and he's dangerous with the ball in his hands. Now, he did not test well at the combine. And, you know, he didn't really show speed in the 40-yard dash, running a 4.55, but I think he has more speed on film, in game film, than he did at the combine. Now, he may not be able to create separation right away, but I think once he gets the ball in his hands, he can run away from people. So I really do like this pick with the Tennessee Titans for Treylon Burks. And I think definitely deserves an A when it comes to that. I thought I Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see. Y'all got me? Y'all can hear me now? So basically what I was saying is that I like this pick with Burks. He's a big body receiver, combat catcher. I think he has better game speed, even though it didn't test well at the combine. Can line up anywhere, dangerous with the ball in his hands. And I just think that he basically can replace A.J. Brown. And you had Garrett Wilson go 10, Olave 11, Jameson Williams 12. You had you had Dotson going 16 to the Commanders. So the wide receivers, there was a run. And if you did not go get Burks at 18, he probably wasn't going to be available at 26. Let me know if y'all hear me now in the let me know if y'all hear me in the section below. Let me know if y'all hear me now. So I do like the pick of Treylon. Definitely trying to work on connections right now. I'm having some issues. Y'all, I apologize for that, but thank y'all for sticking with me on that. But 615 is right. Game speed is different from straight line speed. Absolutely. It is definitely different. So, love the pick of Treylon Burks. Now we go into the second round because we had the 26th pick in the draft as well. But the problem was that there was really nobody there. There was nobody really there that the Titans could have gotten. And so that's why they traded out. So they traded out they traded out of 26 and they ended up getting the 35th pick. They got they traded out with the New York Jets. So they got the 25th pick, the 35th pick of the draft. They got the 69th pick in the draft. And then they got they traded 26 and the 101st pick, the pick they got from the Eagles, to the Jets, but they get 35, 69, and they got a 5th round pick, an extra 5th round pick. And with that pick, they chose Robert McCreary from Auburn, 6 foot, 190-pound corner out of Auburn. Now, this one I thought was probably the most puzzling pick, in my opinion. It was one that I didn't really know what to think when it came to that. I was very confused at first, because I'm just thinking, why in the world did we go corner that early? And I didn't get it. You know, obviously Roger McCreary, very battle tested in the SEC. He's went up against some of the very best wide receivers. He's went up against Burks. He's went up against John Mechie, who got drafted by the Texans. He's went up against Jameson Williams, who got drafted by Detroit. He's went up against Jahan Dotson, who went to the Commanders. So, and he's went up against Jamar Chase in the past. So, you know, I thought about this, and I'm thinking, why did we need a corner? We have Christian Fulton, who truly has become our number one corner. We have Elijah Bowden, who, you know, it was a little rocky the first couple of games for him at corner, but he got better as the year went on. But I thought, and then you got Buster Screen, who really did some good things as well. But then I also thought about it, saying it may have been best player available, and this could be an insurance policy in case, and I use that term loosely, in case Caleb Farley is not 100% ready to go week 1, or if he has an injury, then you have a backup plan. You have a backup plan with Roger McCreary, because McCreary can, he can play inside. He can also play outside. So, you know, he could definitely do a lot of those things. So, you know, he's battle tested. He's played well against some of the best corners, best receivers out there. Now, he does have an issue with length. He's like 5'11", 6 foot. So, he could have a length issue, but I think Roger McCreary could be pretty good. I was a bit confused at why we went with that pick but I know that Trevor Penning, Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, all those guys were gone, and then Lindenbaum and Tyler Smith went before him as well. So, I mean, at this point, we really didn't need an edge rusher. We don't need a linebacker. We didn't really need a defensive lineman. Cole Strange goes 29 to the Patriots, which I thought was way too early for him at that position. So that probably ended up being best player available. And that's why the Titans went with that pick right there. And then, of course, Christian Watson goes before them. Now, Andrew Booth from Clemson was on the board as well. And maybe the Titans could have looked at John Mechie. Maybe that would have been a bit early for him. But that's a player that they probably could have looked at that went to the Texans. But I think this might end up being a good pick. Hey, you can never have enough corners, right? You can never have enough corners, especially in a passing league. So I'm going to go ahead and get to some of your comments. If I say your cornerback didn't make sense to go in the first round. Let's see. I think Trey will be a beast at wide receiver. Treylon. The Derrick Henry at wide out. That very well could be possible. Devin says, do you think the Titans bring in a veteran like Will Fuller or maybe Jarvis Landry? I have been hearing I think the Titans are going to probably bring in one more wide receiver. I can see that happening. Al, exactly. We don't know, with what is unknown with Caleb Farley, you kind of got to see, you got to build up as much. I mean, hey, 4 cornerbacks are better than 3. Defense, I think, is loaded. I do agree with that. Mark's his best player available at the time we picked instead of reaching. And I agree. There wasn't really a good offensive lineman that would have been sitting there that would have been good. I know Bernard Raymond was possibly there, but I think that would have been a little bit too early for him. So, and I'm with Tighten Up Podcast. Let's get to 30 likes. Also, super chats are helpful. So I would definitely appreciate super chats as well with that. So, I agree. Farley may not be ready, so gotta have McCreary just in case. Heard him compared to Malcolm Butler. We know Malcolm Butler started off rough, but he came along pretty nicely. So the McCreary pick I am starting to grow on. Round 3, we go with Nicholas Petit-Frere from Ohio State. 6'5", 315. I gave Roger McCreary a C because I questioned the pick at the time. I think that could easily go up maybe to a B by the time the season is over. So we'll definitely see. Petit-Frere from Ohio State. I'm kind of starting to like this pick very much for the Titans because we did need help at offensive line. And I think that Petit-Frere can come in and immediately challenge for the right tackle position. He's played both sides. He's played both right and left tackle for Ohio State. Is definitely a very good run blocker from film that I looked at. So he's very good in run blocking. Not too bad at pass blocking, but he has had some issues with top-tier talent. A la the Michigan game, he had some trouble blocking Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo in that Michigan game. But he could come in and basically, Dylan Raiders will have a chance to win that right tackle spot. If Petit-Frere beats him out, maybe he goes to left guard. But if Dylan Raiders beats him out, then Petit-Frere could sit back. Maybe he moves inside to guard himself. Or he could be like a Dennis Kelly, maybe that extra tackle. Or if something happens to Taylor Lewan, he can slide in at left tackle as well. So that could end up being a nice pick. I don't know if he starts week 1. I think Dylan Raiders should have the inside track to the right tackle position, but he has played both sides of the line, both right and left tackle. So I like the versatility there with Petit-Frere. I gave that one a B-. My God, Tremaine, hit that like button. I know that's what's up. Let's see, starting right tackle to start week 1. That's going to be between him and Dylan Raiders, I think. I definitely think that's what it is. Al Pierce says most of his junior year he played right tackle, and it seems to be his better side. So we're definitely going to find out with Nicholas Petit-Frere. I liked a lot of things about him. I heard his interview with Mike Keith. Seems like a very likable young man. Definitely seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He likes fantasy football. I think he said he was a fantasy football champion maybe 2 or 3 years running at Ohio State. Also, he likes board games. Obviously, he's a banker. You know, he always played the banker with Monopoly. So he's obviously very smart, good with money, and very intelligent. So I'm starting to grow. This pick is starting to grow on me tremendously. Got to see what he looks like in camp, though. So he's going to get a lot of experience going up against Bud Dupree and Harold Landry and Rashard Weaver in practice, and I think that's only going to make him better when he goes up against those other top-end rushers that he's going to have to go up against. So, you know, Trayvon Walker from Georgia, he may have to go up against in Jacksonville. So that's something that we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on. But now, probably to the pick that stole the show. In round 3, the Tennessee Titans make a bold move. They trade up from 90 to 86. So they give up that 5th round pick, 169, I want to say. So they basically gave up a 5th round pick to move up 4 spots. And they go with Malik Willis from Liberty at quarterback. I got to tell you, I was probably more shocked at this move than I was when A.J. Brown got traded. This was a bold move by J-Rob. An extremely bold move. First of all, this could end up, as 615 Podcast said, this could end up being the steal of the draft. And you got to think about it. The quarterback class wasn't getting a lot of love. Wasn't getting a lot of love because it was long being said that Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis were probably going to be the first 2 quarterbacks off the board and probably the only 2 quarterbacks that go in the first round. But ends up, Kenny Pickett is the only quarterback that went number 1. And he went to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 20. So that was very interesting. And I did hear a lot, I believe, from either Adam Schefter or some others that they were saying that a quarterback probably not going to go until the 20s. And that happened to be, one Kenny Pickett. So you're thinking, okay, Malik is probably going to go at some point. Malik is going to go some point in the first round. He didn't. Pickett was the only quarterback that went in the first round. The second round comes and goes, no quarterback selected. Kenny Pickett, second round comes and goes, no quarterback. The Falcons in the early part of the 3rd round picked Desmond Ridder in the 3rd round. That was when the next quarterback came off the board. So Malik Willis is still sitting there in the 3rd round. And remember, Malik Willis was originally one of the 20 prospects that was in the green room in Vegas. So when they get picked, they come out on stage. Malik Willis sat in the green room all night the first night, did not get picked. The second day, he didn't even come back to the green room. He basically, I think, was hanging out at a bowling alley somewhere with, close friends and family and things like that. And he got the call. He was the pick for the Tennessee Titans. And I gave this an A+. because I think, number one, we got absolutely tremendous value with really no risk. In the beginning, on night one, I basically said, after we didn't take a quarterback in round one, I'm thinking it probably makes no sense to draft a quarterback in round one, after round one, because you know what? You don't get that fifth-year option. You lose a year if you pick a guy, because Tannehill is going to be the starter. So, yes, in the nutshell, we are losing a year with Malik. But in this year, this gives Malik time to develop. It gives time for him to sit back, watch Tannehill, learn the playbook, get used to his new teammates, learn this offense. Then maybe next year, unless Tannehill just plays lights out, he takes over next year. So I like Malik Willis because I think he has the most upside of any quarterback in this draft. He has a cannon of an arm. The guy can move. The guy can run. He's elusive, can get away from would-be sackers, and he can throw the ball down the field. Now, the question is, can he do it on the intermediate routes? That's going to be the biggest question of all. And this is what I said about Malik Willis in my pre-draft look at quarterbacks. Elite arm, excellent runner, elusive, high ceiling, does try to go through his progressions. He depends too much on his legs, though. Still very raw. Forced a lot of passes that ended up being picked. And ball security. And you're going to hear from Ryan Tannehill later. He had a press conference at St. Thomas Sports Park. And you could tell, I don't think he was a big fan of the quarterback being drafted. Now, he said he texted him and, welcomed him to the team. They had he texted him and, he said, welcome to the team and everything. But if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I'm not very happy they drafted Malik Willis. Because Malik Willis is ultimately here to take your job. And I think this is good. As Derek Roberts would say, Tannehill is feeling the pressure. He knows he's going to be looking over his shoulder. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, Logan Woodside is still there. Logan Woodside, we know, is not the answer. It depends on how quickly Malik Willis grabs the playbook. And I have said this. Malik Willis is going to become the most popular guy in the room. Because if Tannehill screws up early and he, let's say, throws 6 or 7 picks in the first 4 games and they're 0-4, fans are going to start clamoring not for Logan Woodside, but for Malik Willis, and Malik might not be ready to start just yet. He may not be ready to start just yet, but I think he has the potential to be really, really great. CJ says, A to Z didn't like it, but I love it. AZ says, Malik. 615 says, Music City Malik. That could be true. Al says, great upside, but it makes me nervous that they dropped so far. Reminds me of McNair. Hope Tanny can rebound so he can sit and learn like McNair did. Now, here's the thing. You've seen some quarterbacks go later than the first round who have developed into good quarterbacks. Andy Dalton was drafted in the second round. He was a serviceable quarterback. Got the Bengals to the playoffs, even though they didn't win any games in the playoffs, but he was a serviceable quarterback. Colin Kaepernick was in the second round. Got the 49ers to a Super Bowl once. Most notably, Russell Wilson was in the third round, ended up becoming the starter from day one in Seattle. And that was when they brought in Matt Flynn, paid Matt Flynn a lot of money from Green Bay, basically saying, You're going to be our new starting quarterback. Russell Wilson outplayed him. Then, in Dallas, in the 4th round, got Dak Prescott, who eventually unseated Tony Romo and took over as starting quarterback. Of course, Golden Boy in the 6th round, enough said there. And you got some serviceable guys. Davis Mills, who was, I believe, picked in the 2nd or 3rd round or something like that. He's a serviceable quarterback in Houston right now. But yes, most quarterback, Derek Carr. Derek Carr wasn't a 1st round pick. I believe Derek Carr was a 2nd or 3rd round pick and is doing pretty well with the Las Vegas Raiders. Lamar Jackson was picked at the very end of the 1st round. So there are instances of quarterbacks who did not go in the 1st round who have ended up being pretty decent quarterbacks. It can happen. So I don't think Malik starts right now. Marjo said maybe Malik could play some receiver. No. They did not bring Malik Willis in to play no receiver. I mean, yeah, they might put in some packages, maybe like a Taysom Hill type situation, maybe run some reverse passes or things like that. Maybe. I have seen where there have been some comparisons to a young Steve McNair. Nobody's ever going to be Steve McNair. He does have some Steve McNair qualities. That much is true. Titan Pratt, what's up with you, sir? But yes, Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. Brady in the 6th. Why did Willis slide to the 3rd round? That is an excellent question. Because Malik was supposed to be one of the first quarterbacks drafted. He was supposed to come off the board way before round 2. So, that's that on that. But this could end up being the steal of the draft. In the 4th round, another pick that kind of had me puzzled a little was Hassan Haskins from Michigan. 6'1", 220 pounds. Now, I know we did need a running back, somebody to kind of back up Derrick Henry. And Hassan Haskins is a very good running back who can run between the tackles and things like that. He could be Derrick Henry's heir apparent. Could be his replacement at some point. I think I do like the pick because I have seen him in a couple of games with Ohio State, and he ran the ball extremely well. So that pick could end up being a nice pick. Probably my favorite pick in the entire draft, 4th round, Chig Okonkwo of Maryland. TD, one of TD's favorite guys. So I really love this pick. 6'3", 250-pound tight end. He could be a tight end. He could be like an H-back. He can block very well. He's the fastest tight end in the draft. Ran like a 4.52. So he's got some speed on him. Has some good hands. Can catch the ball. And again, I did my notes on tight ends as well. And I'm trying to find them. Okay. Oh, actually, scratch that. I had something that I said about Chig Okonkwo, if I can pull that up. I thought I had my thoughts on him. But I thought he was a big body tight end, a guy that's got some speed, can catch the ball. Probably needs to make sure his routes are refined and things like that, but I really love this pick. Giving an A+. An A+ for Chig Okonkwo. I absolutely think this could be the perfect tight end. A lot of people compare him to a young Jonnu or a young Delaney Walker, as Blavin Patel has mentioned. Albert said Chig is a beast, perfect tight end to balance our roster. Frank Wycheck also played at Maryland. He mentioned that. He might look like Jonnu, could play like Delaney Walker. I am definitely looking forward to seeing what Chigaquankwo can do on the field. I love this pick. TD was a big fan of this guy, so I absolutely love the pick of Chigaquankwo. In the 5th round, I think probably going to end up being the most underrated pick that I think will end up being good is Kyle Phillips from UCLA in the 5th round at 163. 5'11", 190, a slot receiver. I think he is a more dependable, probably less injury-prone version of Adam Humphries. He's your prototypical slot receiver. I think he can do some things with the ball in his hands as well. People say he's not a speedy receiver. I think maybe he can have some pull away in the middle of the field, but I think he's a guy, he just moves the chains. I think he's a sleeper good pick for this Tennessee Titans team. I think he could, I don't think he pushes NWI completely out of the way as receiver 3, but I think he possibly could be there. I think Kyle Phillips definitely will be one of the top 6 receivers on this team. You got Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, you got NWI. I think Kyle Phillips easily slides into number 4. And then you got, Dez Fitzpatrick, Mason Kinsey, you got Racey McMath, you got Reggie Robertson, the undrafted free agent from SMU, who I think also has a chance of really making this team as well. He's the speedster that I do like, the undrafted free agent from SMU. Derek says, chain movers are good to have. Blavin says, fantasy sleeper. I definitely like that. Quick-footed, good routes. That is very, very true. So I gave that an A-. In round 6, they go defense to finish the draft. And I know you got to pay a little bit of attention to the defensive side of the ball. So they go local with Theo Jackson, a safety from Tennessee, at the 204th pick. 6'2", 203 pounds. I know we got to have somebody to eventually replace Dane Cruikshank. I know A.J. Moore, the safety from the Houston Texans, is there. But maybe Theo Jackson could become that 3rd safety, and maybe ends up becoming the 2nd safety if something happens where the Titans are not able to re-sign Amani Hooker. Because remember, Hooker, like David Long, like Nate Davis, are all going into their contract years. So you got to see if those guys get re-signed. And so Theo Jackson, a local kid from Tennessee, I think has a very good shot of making his roster. Could be that 3rd safety as well. I gave it a B-, a solid pick there. And then to end the draft, it's not pick 204. It was actually pick 219, excuse me. And that was linebacker Chance Campbell from Ole Miss, 6'1", 200-pound linebacker. I gave it a C because I didn't think we needed an inside linebacker, but it could be for special teams. That's what Theo Jackson's going to have to do. That's what Chance Campbell's going to have to do. Kyle Phillips has some return ability as well. And so, Hassan Haskins, I think he'll help on special teams as well. So, I mean, when you're going basically past the 4th round and more and lower, you're basically taking a crapshoot with some of these guys. So you're basically saying, you know what, we'll see if these guys make the team. And we definitely got to see when it comes to that. Let's see. Marjo says, Denson Patrick looked good in the Snapchat video with Tannehill. We'll have to see about that. He put on some muscle. We'll definitely see. Phillips is Adam Humphries. I agree with that very much so. Steve Smith-Tremaine he's a fan of Kyle. Fresh out of medical school because he was doing surgery on DBs. And says he has a PhD in route running. Al says Theo is a steal in the 6th round. I think the Titans are better than they were last year, 100%, because last year they really only had AJ half the time. Now we're more balanced. Derek Roberts saying practice squad linebacker. Don't know much about Chase. Now, Chance, I don't know much about him either out of Ole Miss, so I am definitely going to try to get familiar with him. Yeah, Michael Griffin II did sign as an undrafted free agent. I'm thinking I'm not sure if he's related to Michael Griffin, the former Titan. I may try to get on the horn with him and ask him about that, but that is our 2019 draft, 2022 draft class. And later on, we're going to talk about how this draft class, measures up against some of the other draft classes in the rest of the AFC South. Now, before we get to that, Ryan Tannehill had a press conference yesterday. He spoke for the first time since the playoff game. And I'm going to play a couple of clips of him. And we're going to talk about, first, we'll talk about, that picture on the boat. He's back now. Why did he wait to come back? And the optics and everything. He'll talk about the playoff loss. He's saying he was in a dark place, losing A.J. Brown, and then, of course, talking about Malik Willis. But here is a little bit of Ryan Tannehill, first talking about the boat picture and why he's just now returning.
Did you consider optics at all when you're sending out social media stuff from the boat or of 20?
Courtesy of the Titans.
Guys are here together.
Yeah, I'm working. Just because I was at home doesn't mean I was relaxing. I'm working. I'm throwing. I'm running. I'm getting myself mentally and physically ready to go. I'm having conversations with Todd, making sure I'm on top of all the information that the guys are getting. We've been through it the past couple of years of no off season, of kind of a shorter off season last year where I was just here for OTAs, and I've kind of figured out that one size doesn't fit all for the off-season program, and I kind of know what I need to do mentally and physically to get myself in the best position to go in with a full head of steam into August and training camp and into the season, and that's what I do.
How much social media parts off-putting the fans and last time they saw you was the Cincinnati game?
I mean, that's them. Let them be the judge. I don't post a whole lot on social media. Some of the stuff that I did post was taken in March and April, and just put it up in that time. So wasn't. I think you may be referring to a Celsius post that I was on the boat. That was taken in March. I wasn't even on the boat last week. So
now, so he's saying he wasn't on the boat that last week, right before OTAs, but the picture came out. The way I say it about that is, he's saying he need a few more weeks with his family and things like that. And I get it. You want to spend time with your family. And that's fine. You're supposed, family is important. But at the same time, it does give off that, I maybe don't want to be there, or I'm not here to lead the team. Because you got to remember, Tannehill left a bad taste in all of our mouths in that playoff game. Left a really bad taste in our mouth. And if you had won a Super Bowl, or maybe didn't lose in that type of fashion, maybe we go on to the AFC Championship, and if we lost and it was a close game, it was a battle, you didn't make those mistakes, maybe we're not making that big of a difference. But it's because the last time we saw you, the last image we had of you was the playoff game. And then it's 4 months later before we even hear from you again. And then he mentioned that, hey, that picture was taken in March with him on the boat with Celsius. And But it's not the fact of when the picture was taken, it's when the picture was posted. You may have taken the picture in March, but you posted the picture on the Monday of OTA's beginning. That sends out a very bad signal. Now, if you took the picture in March and you posted it in March or before OTAs, probably nobody even thinks about it. Probably nobody thinks about it. But it was the fact that even though he said the picture was taken in March, but it was posted on the day of OTAs, it gives a very different look. Now, I'm glad he straightened that out and everything, but still, it's not, perception is reality. And even though the reality is he took that picture last month, the perception was given that he took that picture in April or right when OTAs was going, while everybody is in there finna work, you're on a boat somewhere. That's what it looked like. That's exactly what he looked like. So, and now Mark Jones said, Tannehill is a great leader. After 22 went down, everyone said we were dead. Then with almost an injured roster, most injured roster in history, got to number 1 seed. Okay, yes, Tannehill helped get us to the number 1 seed. But what happened in the playoff game? You're only as good as your last game. What happened? 3 interceptions happened. We lost. In the first playoff game, in the biggest home playoff game in Titans history, we lost. So getting that number 1 seed, Henry going down, none of that mattered in that playoff game. We lost. Tannehill threw 3 picks. And it probably was one of the easiest paths to the Super Bowl. All we would have to do is beat Cincinnati. And then, hey, we go for it against Kansas City. So it doesn't matter if we got that number 1 seed. We lost. And Power Hour, yeah, I did speak about Malik Willis, but I do have more coming on that. If you would have had a great playoff game, we wouldn't even be talking about him not being here. True. Very true indeed. So that's that on that. But here is Tannehill speaking of the playoff loss. This is what Tannehill had to say.
HTML looks like this. In this case,
okay, now I'm going to get ready to bring up about the playoff loss. Let's see. Yeah, give me just a second. So he was here's Tannehill about the playoff loss.
How much is it? The playoff loss still linger with you and bother you, and do you, I guess, listen to any of the things that are said, in terms of people wanting to put the blame on you for that loss?
It's a scar. It's a deep scar. It was a lot of sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I was rewatching the game in my head. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep for weeks and weeks after the game. Was in a dark place, and it took me a while and a lot of work to get out of it. It wasn't something that went away easily, and it's still a scar that I'll carry with me, throughout the rest of my life. But just like a cut on your arm, starts off as a wound. You're able to heal from it, and it turns into a scar. It never leaves you, but it's always there, and it can remind you. And now it's fuel for me. It's fuel for me to work and get ready with a passion and come into the season with a fire and a desire to win like I've never had before.
Okay. I did like how he did answer that question, because he basically, without saying it, he kind of finally took responsibility. You know, he didn't actually say, and I quote, "it was my fault," but he basically said, you know, it's like a scar, it's like a wound. It's never gonna leave you. It's gonna carry with you. You know, it's gonna bring the fuel and the fire to win, and perhaps this might be a good thing. And I have a open bet with Haley Thornhill, who, you know, we said that if Ryan Tannehill leads the team to a Super Bowl, then I will wear a Tannehill. I'll probably get a Tannehill jersey, a shirt jersey, and I will issue a public apology to Ryan Tannehill. So, you know, yeah. I think I like the fact he answered that. It looked like he finally took responsibility for what happened on him, his fault, and perhaps that's going to make him grow and be better next year. Now, we're going to talk about what he thought about with A.J. Brown gone.
To this season with a fire and, you know, a desire to win like I've never had before.
What's your reaction to losing AJ, who was your top target for the last 3 years?
Helen hurt. You know, obviously, professionally it hurt. You know, top target, you know, heck of a football player, made big plays for us consistently over the last 3 years. Personally, it hurt. You know, AJ's a good friend. Have a lot of great times, great memories on and off the field with him. Just not being able to see him on a daily basis it's going to be different. It's going to be hard. You know, happy to see him, you know, get what he wanted, but at the end of the day, it hurts, man. It hurts.
Okay, so that was Tannehill talking about losing A.J. Brown and how hurt it was for him to lose A.J. Brown. You know, a top target, his number one target, the guy he depended on, and everything. But you know, he's like, he was glad, you know, he was able to get what he wanted, but you know, it still hurts. And I'm sure because that was his favorite, one of his favorite targets to go to in the passing game. And now he has to develop new chemistry with new guys, with Robert Woods, with Traylon Burks. And he's already said that he's spoken to Traylon, he's texted with him and talked to him, you know, hoping to get on the same page with him. I think after that press conference, him and Robert Woods ended up watching some film together so that they're trying to get on the same page as receiver quarterback, probably Austin Hooper as well. So, you know, you know, he was being honest. And, you know, Tannehill, I got to give it to him. As much as I have clowned on Tannehill, as much as I've turned against Tannehill, he finally stood in there like a champ and took the brunt of the media. The media, you know, Jared hit him with some haymakers. Paul Kaharski hit him with some haymakers. And he stood there like a G, and he answered every question. He answered it, I mean, as best as anybody could expect. So, I mean, I got to give him that. As much as I'm turning against Ryan Tannehill, I got to give him his props on that. He stood in, he took the hard questions, and he answered it as honestly as he can. And now to the main event that everybody's talking about was his thoughts on Malik.
This season and
question is obvious. Ultimately, probably his goal is to take your job.
I mean, that's part of being in a quarterback room in the same room. You know, we're we're competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing.
Now, all right, Tyler, before we move on, Tyler, I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather. I know you're just getting home and you're saying it looks like your grandfather's probably going to pass on soon, but I am, you and your family have my deepest condolences here at Titans of Truth. And everybody here, our prayers are with you, Tyler, for you and your family over the potential loss of your grandfather. So prayers with you, my friend, when it comes to that. But he just said it there, that he says, hey, everybody in the national media is taking out is, it's not my job to mentor Malik. If he learns something from me, that's great. And, he said we're in the same quarterback room, we're competing against each other, we're going to do the same drills and things like that. Here's my thing. Here's my way to answer this. I probably wouldn't have said those exact words publicly, but to tell the honest truth, Ryan is absolutely right. I agree with a lot of local media and I agree with a lot of other people. It is not his job to mentor Malik. It is his job to be the starting quarterback and win football games. And, yes. Now, again, what I think the national media is taking out of context is when he says, well, it is not my job to mentor Malik. He did not say, I would not mentor or I'm not going to. He just said, that's really not in my job description. But he also said, if he learns some things from me, then that's good. So, I do tend to agree with Tannehill there. It is not his job to mentor a guy who eventually is trying to replace him. If anything, and I said this earlier, he should see Malik Willis as a very real threat to his job. And if anything, that's a good thing. Tannehill, I think for the last year and a half, has felt way too comfortable with his position. Because we know good and well Logan Woodside is not going to take his job. Logan Woodside will never be the true starter of the Tennessee Titans. We know that. Malik Willis, on the other hand, at some point is going to take his job. I think it's going to be shown that Malik Willis will be eventually the starter of the Tennessee Titans. Now, at our worst, what could happen is that Tannehill maybe doesn't have a great year. Malik maybe shows some flashes, and maybe he's not all that great off top. And the Titans might be in a position to draft one of those top quarterbacks in next year's class. And then you know what? You have a real, legit competition between, let's just say, for example, Malik and a CJ Stroud. They battle it out for the job. The guy you think is the quarterback wins the job. You could trade the other and get some very good capital for that particular player. So that's something that I think could happen. If anything, Tannehill probably does see Malik as a threat. Maybe not right away, but I think eventually he will see him as a threat. And, it is up to Malik to learn the playbook, learn the offense, and become a good football player. That's what coaches are there for. That's what Downing and Tim Kelly and Pat O'Hara, that's what they're there for. They are there to help mentor and develop Malik. It is not Tannehill's job to do that. So, I do tend to agree with that. But he didn't say I won't mentor him or I'm never going to, pass some pointers to him. He'll probably help him in some ways, but, he did the same thing for Mariota. Tried to help Mariota, but Mariota was the model citizen and everything. So, and here's my thing. Mark Jones says the fans are behind him. That will probably do wonders for him personally because I couldn't imagine trying to win games for fans who act like they hate you. And here's my thing. I don't hate Ryan Tannehill at all. I just don't think he's the guy that can take us to a Super Bowl. Now, if Ryan Tannehill does take us to a Super Bowl, I will be happy to say I'm wrong. I will be proud of him. I will congratulate him. And I will say tighten up. Because I'm about the team more than a player. Let's get that out the way. Burning Devil says, Tannehill had every right to say that. I will never mentor my replacement. Tyler said Tannehill is salty. When I heard his interview, I was like, yeah, he's salty with the new quarterback and losing AJ. Losing AJ, I can understand him being a bit salty. Mark says Tannehill is motivated. The team is motivated. Well, they better be. They better be. Mark Jones says Tannehill has been the best quarterback the Titans have had in the last 20 years. 20 years, you're going back to 2002. At that time, there was a certain quarterback on the team that wore number 9. First name Steve, last name McNair. I think Steve McNair is still the best quarterback this Titan team has ever had. Competition will help our team. I can agree with that. I think it does. I think this does light a fire under him. I agree with that. So, now, Tyler said, curious why Malik fell to the third round. All I kept hearing is the program he comes from is simplistic. And I believe the head coach was Hugh Freeze, the former Ole Miss coach. And Mark Jones said, well, he went to Auburn and they didn't want him, and he went to Liberty. Now, true enough, he went, to a lower level school. And he put up some good numbers against some of those schools. And then he struggled against the good schools like an Auburn. I mean, not an Auburn, Ole Miss. So, he did struggle some against good teams, but he has the potential to be really, really good. And James said, to be honest, it looks like the Titans are going to Patrick Mahomes route. Basically, have him sit behind for a whole year and get ready for him to start next year. That is what it seems like. And so we'll see if that definitely works out. Titans of Truth, definitely glad everybody has been here with me tonight. Definitely make sure, again, y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And keep smashing that like button. Want to get a bunch of likes before we do get out of here on this Wednesday night. And before we go any further, got to tell you guys about my guy, Mr. Cody Milhoyne of First Class Real Estate Investor, Real Estate Advisors. And, he's a big, as a lot of you know, he is a big-time Titans fan. And so, he's huge on integrity. And that is what he's built his real estate business on. So many other agents only care about making a sale. Not Cody. He will offer you many options and discuss the pros and cons for every option. Cody understands whether you're buying or selling a $10,000 trailer or $20 million mansion. He understands that a real estate investment is likely to be the biggest investment in your life. If you live in Tennessee or if you live anywhere between Carolina and California, you can give Cody a call on his personal number at 731-798-8505 or his office number, both numbers listed on the screen, at 731-207-8060. Ask for Cody for all of your real estate needs and tell him Titans and Truth sent you. And that is my buddy Cody Milhoyne of First Class Real Estate Advisors. He is definitely a big Titan fan, and definitely you can also email him at codym@firstclassre.com if you have any questions about any real estate needs. We know this is a seller's market. Homes are up tremendously. So he could definitely help you get the best deal for you. So Titans and Truth here. Before we do get out of here, let's take a look at the other draft classes that in the AFC South. And we start with the Colts. I thought the Colts hit some home runs, did some good picks early. In the second round, they got Alec Pierce, who could end up being a very good receiver for them with Matt Ryan. Definitely, I did like him coming out of Cincinnati. In round 3, they went with Jelani Woods, the big tight end out of Virginia. He could definitely be a problem. Bernard Raymond, 4 picks later, the offensive tackle from Central Michigan. They went with a defensive back and Nick Cross in round 3. So they had 3 round 3 picks. Eric Johnson, defensive tackle in round 5. Andrew Ogletree, a tight end in round 6. Curtis Brooks, defensive tackle in round 6. And then Rodney Thomas II, a defensive back in round 7. So those are the Colt picks. Then you go to a team that I thought Slick had a nice draft as well, and that is the Jags, especially in the first 3 rounds. They go with Travon Walker, defensive end from Georgia with the number 1 pick in the draft. They come back at pick 27 with Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah. So they definitely got better on the defensive side of the ball. Then they go with Luke Fortner, center guard out of Kentucky in the 3rd round. They go with Chad Boomer, linebacker from Wyoming. Then they go with Snoop Connor, running back in the 5th round from Ole Miss. Looks like they got Gregory Jr., a cornerback, in round 6 out of I can't remember the name of that school. And then Montark Brown, a defensive back from Arkansas in round 7. So I think the Jaguars, like the Colts, started off nice early and then got some depth pieces later. And then last but not least are the Houston Texans, who I thought Slick had a very good draft. In my honest opinion. And this is who they went with. Of course, in round 1 at the top of your screen, they go with Derek Stingley at pick 3, cornerback from LSU, one of the probably the best cornerback in the draft. And also at pick 15, they go with Kenyon Green. Probably stole him from the Titans. I think they knew the Titans probably wanted Kenyon Green, so they went ahead and stole him from us. From Texas A&M. In round 2, they had a couple of picks. Jalen Pertry, a safety from Baylor. And then they come back with John Mechie, a wide receiver out of Alabama, in the 2nd round. In the 3rd round, they go another Alabama guy, Christian Harris, a linebacker. And then in round 4, They go with Dameon Pierce, running back from Florida. In round 5, they go Thomas Booker, defensive tackle from Stanford, as well as a tight end, Tegan Quitoriano, tight end from Oregon State. And then in round 6, an offensive tackle from LSU, Austin DeCilus from LSU. So I think a very solid draft from the Texans. I think the Jags and the Colts probably hit on some picks early. I still think the Titans, out of the 4, maybe had the best well-rounded draft. But Houston I was impressed with. I think they got a big haul. They got 9 guys in their draft. They got 9 guys. I think the Titans ended up with 9 picks as well. You know, we ended up with 9 picks. We had 10 picks, but we ended up with 9 just like the Texans did. So I thought the Texans were very, very impressive with their picks. So, you know, the Texans may not be ready to compete right now, but, you know, they could do something. The Jags with Trevor Lawrence and now have a comparable head coach, they could be coming. And we know the Colts could be a thorn in our side as well. So we definitely going to have to see what happens there. Draft experts will hype up players every year, whether they're any good ones or not. He has the physical ability and mental and footwork is what he would need to be perfect. We'll definitely have to see when it comes to that. With Todd down in the playbook ain't going to be that crazy. Still don't trust Todd Downing's play calling. And that's why I think Tim Kelly is there. So that could be a good thing. Blavin Patel said, I hate Tannehill. Should have won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And Power Hour come and say Roger McCreary gave John Mechie the business in the Iron Bowl. They'll face off twice a year. That's true. And, you know, he did a good job on Jameson Williams as well. And, you know, he's going to be playing against John Mechie. He's also going to be playing against Jahan Dotson later this year as well. So, like Mark Jones says, Tennessee sports as a whole on the rise. Grizzlies balling out, Vols baseball. Titans need to join the party. The Preds, of course, got crushed by the Avalanche last night in Game 1 of their Stanley Cup playoffs. So that was not very good for them. Before we do get out of here tonight, a couple of pieces of information. First off, for the Blue Bombshells, shout out to the Grizz. The Grizzlies getting a big win last night, 106-101. Ja Morant, 47 points, 8 rebounds, I believe 8 assists as well, to lead the Grizzlies to a big victory. They tie the series at 1 as they get ready to head out to California tomorrow to go for Game 3 against the Golden State Warriors. And I do believe if the Grizzlies can get one of these two at Chase Center, they're going to be in very good position that they can win this series. Now, ultimately, I want the Grizzlies to get both games in San Francisco, but again, I say they at least get one of those two. And you know, I am very happy with the Grizzlies taking care of business. They got that win. They never quit. They got down 10 at one point, came back. It's going to be a back and forth series. If the Warriors thought this was going to be a cakewalk, they are sadly mistaken. And this game, I got the Grizz in 7. I think the Grizz win in 7, and they head on to the Western Conference Finals. And I do believe if they can beat the Warriors, I think they're going to the NBA Finals, in my honest opinion. So I like the Grizzlies' chances. But finally, before we do get out of here, some sad news here locally in Memphis. We are mourning the loss of an absolute legend in the business of radio. And somebody who I have heard quite a few times on the radio as I was coming up as a young boy. Somebody that, I would aspire to be like if I'm in radio or TV, to be the best at what they do. And that is rest in peace to a radio legend, the legendary man who put the first black-owned radio station in America on the map, WDIA AM 1070. We lost a legend at the age of 68 yesterday morning. The legendary Bobby O.J. I know I didn't sound like him, but maybe I'll try to get Bobby O.J. A great legend in the business of radio. You definitely recognize his voice anytime you hear him. He interviewed a lot of legends. He was known not just locally, but nationally as well. He got inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame last year. And definitely mourning the loss of a great man in the radio broadcasting world. Definitely a inspiration to me, because I try to get into radio. I'm in TV right now. Just a great man and a very, very big loss in the broadcasting world. Rest in peace to Bobby O.J. He passed on, gone at the age of 68. We'll have a quick, brief moment of silence. Thank y'all for that. And, hey, yeah, with Ja, he's only one of 3 players that have multi 45-point games in the playoffs. And, at a young age. So he is definitely, becoming a superstar in front of our very eyes. And so I like the Grizzlies' chances. So I like the Grizzlies' chances. Again, James is saying rest in peace to the legend. Mark Jones saying rest in peace. So yes, rest in peace to Bobby O.J. But everybody, I just again, as always, I say thank you. Thank y'all for supporting Titans of Truth. If you haven't hit the like button or the subscribe button, please make sure you do so. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank y'all for helping me with subscribers. Again, I'm still trying to get to 1,200. It's been a little slow. Still trying to get there. So definitely help me out. Share this show out. But we are going to get ready to call this a night. Thank y'all for tuning into the show. I am Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. Letting y'all know I'm probably gonna be on a hiatus, probably for the next month or so, because right now it's gonna be a little slow. It's going to be a little slow, only OTAs. I will probably do some stuff, maybe talking about the Grizz. If something happens with the Predators, I may talk about them. But it's not really a lot of tight news to talk about at this moment. But if some big news do happen, I will definitely go live and talk about it at some point. So right now, I'm probably going to go on a bit of a hiatus, try to again, come up with some new concepts. I have some new concepts that I'm trying to slowly work on to get ready for the fall, so I can bring you even more content as time goes on. And y'all are in for a very, very big surprise. I guarantee you that. Playoff Grizz and Truth. Maybe not a bad idea. Might not be a bad idea. I kind of like the sound of that. But y'all, thank y'all for tuning into the show. I am Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer, the Truth. And again, good night, y'all. And let's tighten up, because that's all we know how to do.